feminism is what we say it is. And we say that feminism is the problem. Putting the conversation where it needs to be. This is the Vanguard Report.
Greetings and welcome to the Vanguard Report, the weekly radio program where we do nothing but talk about feminism and how to drive nails into feminism's coffin. This is episode number 11. Here at the Vanguard Report, we peel away feminism's lies layer by layer, slowly and patiently, in order to reveal feminism's devices to your critical scrutiny. We point things out and we tell you what to look for. We don't just feed you information and inform you for a day. We teach you how to inform yourself in order to inform you for a lifetime. We're not here to fix men's issues, but to make the world a more male-friendly place by exposing how the world got to be so anti-male in the first place. In other words, we are here to expose how men's issues even got to be issues in the first place. Anti-male bias, you see, operates on so many levels, so we need to confront this on many levels. We don't believe in begging crumbs from the feminist regime if we are not also working to mobilize hearts and minds against the feminist regime altogether, with the ultimate plan of knocking that regime over and stretching it out flat in the dust. Very well. I am your host, Fidelbogen, and with me as always is my fellow host, Nick Reading, a true son of the Alberta Prairie and a dastardly counter-feminist insurgent in the city of Edmonton. Nick, will you make your appearance on the balcony and speak to the assembled multitude in the public square?
Indeed I will. How's it going, everybody? I'm Nick Reading with mensrightsedmonton.com. And I'm happy to be here.
That's good. Nick, don't you want to tell them about your website like you generally do?
Yeah. You can check us out at mensrightsedmonton.com and see what we're all about, what we do. Basically, we're here to see feminism fall into the same disrepute as racism. And we have all kinds of fun exploits on our YouTube channel, which is Men's Rights Edmonton as well.
Okay, yes, that's mensrightsedmonton.com. Definitely go there, bookmark that website, go there, give them web traffic, give them click love. Nick, before we go any further, we were talking about something about the walk a mile in her shoes. Do we want to expand on that theme at this present time, or even drop a hint about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be releasing a video about it in the next couple of days, hopefully. But it's we plan on having a really interesting presence at the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes this year in Edmonton in Churchill Square on September 23rd. Can't really go into details about it, but it's going to be big. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be big, yes. So this is the first little whisper to get the Whisper campaign going. It's going to be a big thing in Edmonton at the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes parade. And you heard it here.
As usual, we want them to know we're coming, and we want them to know that we want them to know.
We want them to know, and we want everybody to know that everybody knows that everybody knows. Does this Walk a Mile parade have along its route Churchill Square at any point?
It's entirely held in Churchill Square.
Oh, so that is, I would say that's the public square, is it not? Churchill Square?
That's the town square in Edmonton.
It is.
Yeah, and it was, if you saw us at that's where they marched to for last year's Slut Walk. Of course, they were already holding the Taste of Edmonton Food Festival there. I can't imagine the families and the vendors were happy to see a bunch of scantily clad young women with signs about how slutty they are marching into their event and screaming. But
yes, there might have been some conflicted feelings on that occasion. I can understand that.
The Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event, for those who don't know, is a feminist event where they get hundreds of men every year.
Men in high heels, yes?
Yep, to walk around in a circle. And
I didn't know they walked around in a circle.
Yeah, well, I guess the idea is that, like, because they just walk around in one big circle around Churchill Square, but not even around Churchill Square, like in the middle of it. It's quite it's really sad.
That adds an extra dimension of comedy. Picture that, men in high-heeled shoes walking around in a circle in the middle of a public square.
Well, they're just.
But they're doing it for a noble cause.
Yeah, well, they're prostrating themselves, is what it is. But
of course they are. We know that.
They also a lot of them raise money for the domestic violence shelter complex here. But for women here in Alberta, because even though Earl Silverman died not getting any money, well, very little funding, very little attention, very little help with the only domestic shelter for men with or without their children in Canada, we still have to do much more for women.
Of course. So you end up with all these men who are prostating themselves out.
Prostating themselves out. Oh, God. That's awful. Okay. So, Nick, at this point in time, are there no domestic violence shelters for men in Canada now that the Earl Silverman Center is gone?
There might be some beds in overall shelters, but I don't know of any men's shelters. No.
Okay, well, I guess that doesn't count. Either they have men's shelters, an equal number to women's shelters, or else they have unisex shelters where they have both men and women in separate departments. Either one will work, but they got to get that going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Nick. Meanwhile, I will send you to the Poison Manifesto, which is the handbook of the revolution, the big umbrella statement that you want to read so that all of us non-feminist, counter-feminists will be on the same page. That is at cfproject.blog.com. cfproject.blog.com, and I think that should be appearing in the chat window right about now. Okay, moving right along. I have a question for everybody, just something to think about. Is this the beginning of the end for feminism? Now, maybe you haven't noticed it, but I've noticed it for quite some time. We, the people, have been steadily gathering strength against the feminist regime. All manner of folk realize what's up with feminism now, and they are licking their chops, so to speak, in anticipation of a coming feast. For example, there's a little something which I call the commentariat war. Just look at almost any unmoderated comment thread and you will see that we easily hold our own against the feminists if we don't drown them out altogether. This trend has been developing for several years now and is accelerating noticeably of late, even on such leftward tilting publications as Slate, Salon, and the Puffington Host. And there are many other signs of the times going on, too many for me to describe here. But now, for the latest and the greatest, and I think we all know what that is. In case you haven't heard, there has been a sudden tidal wave of female hostility against feminism. It started on Tumblr as the Women Against Feminism movement, where photo after photo showed women holding up handwritten signs to explain why they had no use for feminism. This soon appeared on Facebook as well, where it gathered many thousands of likes. From there, it drew the attention of media from all around the world. Quite notably from Time magazine. Now that's a big media outlet. Time magazine, where Kathy Young just recently wrote a generally favorable article. And the link should be appearing in the low bar. James, that'd be Q number 1. Anyway, as long as we are posting links in the chat, here is another one. That'd be Q number 2. This second article is the go-to intro on this whole subject of the Women Against Feminism movement and how the feminists are losing their shit over that. To continue, the feminists are painfully aware of what is happening. It has caught them totally by surprise, and they are floundering for a correct response. But they are unable to respond correctly because, honestly, they have never confronted such an attack before. This is unprecedented. They've got no established policy for dealing with this, and they are scrambling to get their footing on a terrain which is unlike anything they have ever experienced. Women in numbers too great to be discounted are denouncing feminism in very strong language, in no uncertain terms. So, the feminists are pushing back with a blend of anger and panic. Some more on the anger side, others more on the panic side, but none of the responses are appropriate. In a nutshell, the feminists are losing their shit and acting the fool because they simply never expected any such thing to happen as they now see happening. Nick, what do you think about that?
I think it's hilarious. I think the way that they're reacting is just the way they react to all criticism. They just dig themselves deeper. Whenever these women say that they're against feminism, then they get condescended to and told that they just don't understand. When it was us, they could say that we were neck-bearded, closeted homosexuals living with our parents.
By the way, I still don't know what the word neckbeard means, but go on.
Well, it's when you shave your face but leave a beard on your neck.
Okay.
I have chin beard, right, but I shave it off the rest of my neck.
Well, then there's no proof that non-feminist people in general are neckbeards, or they have unshaven below their jawline.
And I've even seen guys that I'm certain are feminists or feminist supporters with cultivated neckbeards. But when it's a bunch of attractive women, I don't know if I'm the only person who's noticed this, but a lot of the women...
They always push the hot ones up in the front, for the photo opportunities.
Well, no, I mean the women against feminism. They were all...
That's right. Well, I was thinking about the feminists themselves. I mean, they always push the pretty ones up to the front of the parade, and they're smiling, and they push the sour-looking ones to the back. But anyway...
Yeah. But when a bunch of women come forward and say, this isn't us, then instead of reacting to them with the vitriol that they do towards us, it's condescension. And
you don't understand. You're misinformed. Yes, sir.
Educate yourself. I mean, it all smacks of the same shit they were saying.
They don't realize that feminism is what we say it is.
Yeah.
They haven't got that memo yet. It's taking them the longest time.
No, well, they're so used to telling everybody what everything else means. But they're used to telling everybody what everything means just because they say so. But it's not. Their reaction to this isn't doing them any favors. It's not winning them any friends.
Not at this point. Not now that the resistance is becoming more and more organized.
Yeah.
Now, a disorganized resistance is a helpless resistance, but an organized resistance can jump up and kick your ass. And I think this is what's happening and what's going to continue to happen. This is only the beginning. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
Anyway, there have certainly been activated non-feminist women on the scene for many years, scattered among the menfolk. But what's new about the present development is that women are acting as a demographic bloc. It's women as a group, women as a class. Feminism, which calls itself the women's movement, is now engaged in a wicked, staring contest with something that is undoubtedly a women's movement also. Now, we know that there are questions about the Women Against Feminism movement. It purports somehow to be a grassroots movement, yet there are concerns and whispers that it's really an astroturf movement, Republican in origin, etc., etc., etc. And we might also legitimately wonder about the personal motivation of many of the movement's members. A number of them seem to yearn for a return to the golden age of chivalry, where men were men and ladies were ladies, and gynocentrism was the ruling code for society. Some of them clearly wish for a life of traditional wifedom and motherhood. One senses that most of them are not what we would call red pill people, although some of them undoubtedly are. In fact, I think some of them are honey badger material, and we will recruit those later. Yet,
some of them are honey badgers. I've seen one of them is Jessica King, yeah, and also one of them is right here from Edmonton, Olivia.
Okay. Oh, Olivia, I remember her. Yes.
Yeah, I was going through the Women Against Feminism, and I was like, oh, hey, that's Olivia. I know her.
Well, you'll have to point out that the picture of Olivia. I've never seen Olivia. I mean, we spoke a couple of times, as I recall. Anyway, say what you will, these Women Against Feminism are far from being a monolithic group. Okay? And the fact that they are chastising feminism in such uncompromising language conclusively tells us that feminism is in trouble. I can see this very plainly. But what's more important, and not so easily brushed aside, is that the feminists themselves can see this very plainly. And they, of all people, ought to know when they're in trouble. Wouldn't you say? Don't you think so, Nick?
Well, they do and they don't. They're able to exercise a shocking amount of cognitive dissonance. And the harder they fall, the more they tell themselves how awesome they're doing, and how great they are, and how they're on the winning side, and yeah.
Well, so it seems to me that sometimes they have a bit of a delayed reaction. They don't know what's happening until it's 2 inches in front of their nose.
To me, it's kind of like watching Pee Wee Herman hit the curb whenever he was showing off, and he flips over his bicycle a couple times, and he stands up and goes, "I meant to do that."
I have to look up that old Pee Wee Herman episode then. I got to admit, Pee Wee Herman is another gap in my education. But anyway, feminism is in trouble. It seems like the rotten hull springs a new leak every day. And this trouble has been long in the making, and Women Against Feminism is only the latest dramatic turn of events. But it builds upon an historical foundation and an intellectual underpinning which has developed over many years. Women are just saying no to feminism, and no means no. What part of no don't the feminists understand? Yeah. No means no. You hear that, feminists? Women are saying no to you. By the end of the day, the motives of these non-feminist women are of secondary interest in light of the indisputable fact that their movement is even happening in the first place. One way or another, the feminist sewer is finally backing up to their basement too. That's what's happening, and they do not like the smell. We need to meditate upon the significance of that. These women are simply maximizing their advantage. And we can't blame them for that. Now, can we? After all, that's just human. Don't we all maximize our advantage? I know that I do. Nick, what about you? Do you maximize your advantage?
I do. I do. The only fair fight is the one I win.
Okay. That's a philosophy I can get behind, especially in the present situation. So yes, the women against feminism are maximizing their advantage, whatever their advantage is, and they know what their advantage is better than I do, or you do, or, well, the rest of us do. They know that. They're the experts. And evidently, they believe that feminism is not to their advantage. And that's why they don't want any part of feminism. And that, friends, is good news for the non-feminist revolution. Okay, along the lines of women speaking against feminism, I would like to share a story from Germany about a woman named Birgit Kell. I hope I pronounced that well in German. Birgit Kell, an influential writer who is speaking out clearly against most of the ideological man-hating evil which feminism has propagated for the last half-century. That name again is Birgit Kell. I would like to share with you an interview with Birgit Kell that was recently posted on a German website. The title of this article, translated roughly into English, is Science Out, Ideology In, and that should give you a pretty good clue what it's all about. Somebody doesn't like science and prefers ideology. Does that sound familiar? Okay. Look in the chat window for the link, which ought to be appearing right about now. James, I think that's cue number 2.
Working on it.
Anyway, there is one little problem, though. You see, the article is in German, and German is a language which many of you don't understand. But for that, I recommend the Bing translator. Look up the Bing translator. I like it better than Google. Give it a shot, and I think you will catch the grist of what is going on over there in Germany. This trend against feminism is something international. It's something global. And, we can pick up little hints about that all over the place, and here is just one. One thing to keep in mind about this Birgit Kell, she appears to consider herself a civilized form of feminist. That is, she does not yet apparently feel any need to reject the feminist label per se. She does not yet apparently regard this label as a source of trouble. So do bear that in mind and take this information accordingly. And on that note, I think we have reached the halfway mark for episode number 11 of the Vanguard Report. I'd say it's time for a music break. So, bring it. All right, we're back. This is episode number 11 of the Vanguard Report. I am Fidelbogen, and with me is Nick Reading, a counter-feminist insurgent, a man of Canada, and a true son of the Alberta Prairie. So, the Women Against Feminism movement is a landmark event in the non-feminist revolution. All manner of non-feminist people are getting uppity these days, but the sudden arrival on the field of a massed female battalion is a most arresting development indeed. All right, what is this non-feminist revolution that we keep talking about? I reckon we ought to say a few words about that. The non-feminist revolution is not a movement, but it is a largely unconscious demographic upwelling of resistance to feminism and to feminism's consequences on Earth. The non-feminist revolution is an objectively historical process of a spontaneous, organic, and amoral character. That's right, it's amoral. Its center is everywhere, its periphery is nowhere, and no, its parts do not always accord with each other. We, meaning people like me, Nick, and James, did not create this revolution. We merely recognized it, and we gave it a name.
We've given it several names, in fact. Some people recognize it as the men's rights movement. Last year, a year ago, I saw a debate between a feminist and a guy who's saying, "I'm not a men's rights activist, I'm just anti-feminist." And he was some skinny kid from the States there, and he kicked the crap out of her in the online debate. It's when I was just looking for this, and the way I got to where I am is I interacted with a bunch of feminists in my neighborhood, and I took a couple of years stewing on it. Eventually, I was just like, fuck it, I can't be the only one who has seen this problem, these things. There has to be an anti-feminist organization or something out there that I can join, and I just went looking.
Well, with me, it was just I was looking at the world and I just saw what was happening. And not by any personal experience, but just by keeping an eye on the drift of events. And at some point, I discovered that there were people on the internet who were gathering in groups and talking about these things too. So I just jumped in and joined the conversation. And it was not my idea to call it the, quote, men's rights movement. At that point in time, none of us had any really well-formulated ideas, but we knew that something was wrong, and we were just talking about it. Anyway, I'd have to say I am a non-feminist, counter-feminist, anti-feminist, what you will, first, and only second am I a men's rights activist. I think if we knock feminism on its ass, that alone will do more to help men than just about anything I can think of. At any rate, it's indispensable. You got to do that. Yeah. So,
but back to the end. There's a lot of us. A lot of us see things very differently. Getting us together and getting us to work together is often like herding cats because we're so individualistic. So when you say a non-feminist revolution, because people may not necessarily be anti-feminist or counter-feminist, but whatever they are not feminist. And it's the rest of us waking up and saying, no. At the very, if people are ambivalent towards feminism, they are not feminist, and they don't want to be told how to live their lives by feminists. And if there is a
non-feminist is just an anti-feminist waiting to happen. It's a matter of time. That's how I see
it. If there is a cohesive resistance, if there's an organized pushback against feminism, then your average non-feminist will. Even if they might not be afraid to go against the grain, they just might find it inconvenient. They just go along with feminist influences because they're not even consciously aware of any alternative. So if there is an alternative and they're consciously aware of it, then when feminists come up and try to shame them, they can say, whoa, 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 wait a second.
I am not a feminist. What are you
Yeah.
going to do about it?
Yeah. Therefore,
Yeah.
you can't make me feel bad for not having your ideals.
It could be just that simple. It could be just that. It could be as simple as saying, "I'm not a feminist." And there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
Yeah, and they will.
They can call you an MRA or a MGTOW or some other label, but by the end of the day, the fact remains that you're still not a feminist, and that is a point that they can't push you off of. That point is your Rock of Gibraltar. You're not a feminist, and there's nothing they can do about it. In that game, there's no good move they can make. Anyway, yes.
Well, I was just going to say, there's no good move they can make. As we've seen with Women Against Feminism, is all they'll do is they'll just try to belittle and berate anybody who doesn't agree with them, and that will just drive people further away from them.
Mm-hmm. So I think we're playing the game right here. We're playing the game right, and I think things are looking up for us. Anyway, we've chosen the word revolution, not because it sounds cool and glamorous, but quite frankly because no better terminology occurs to us. A revolution is a thing which violates a system of authority, and it does so without seeking permission.
Uh-oh, did we lose somebody?
No, I'm still here. I muted the microphone for a moment there. Anyway, a revolution violates a system of authority, and it does so without seeking permission. That's the distinguishing earmark of a revolution. It doesn't ask, it just does what it's got to do. It goes out there and it breaks something. Ideally something it needs badly to be broken. What kind of revolution says to the targeted regime, "May I overthrow you?" So we can rest assured that the non-feminist revolution is nothing of that sort. That's the key to it, folks. Combined operations. The non-feminist revolution is nothing but the sum total of all operations which work to bring about the collapse of feminism as a cultural power. Hey, you know what? Let's open up the line to callers. The number to call is 214-666-6148. This is the Vanguard Report, and the line is open. Call in, folks. That's 214-666-6148. Tell us what's on your mind. Anyway, misandry, or to put it another way, anti-male bias, exists as a cultural undercurrent that pervades the social ecology. And the important thing to understand is that this pervasive undercurrent has objective consequences. What is most pernicious about misandry and anti-male bias is that the prevailing cultural narrative flat out denies that these things even exist at all. Yet misandry and anti-male bias are rampant everywhere you look. You just have to learn to see it. Once you see, you cannot unsee. This reality has given rise to a dangerously unbalanced and poisonous state of affairs, and feminism is no help at all. That is why people in growing numbers are turning against feminism. That is why feminism is in trouble. The feminists delude themselves that their trouble originates from a small group of troublemakers, and that if you stomp out these people like you would stomp out a bug, life for feminism will go back to normal again, and everybody will live happily ever after in a feminist world of equality.
Oh, don't we all want equality though? Don't we all want the same thing?
Well, yes, I want 2 to equal 2. I want 10 to equal 10. It keeps the universe consistent, It keeps things sort of on track and coherent and logical. So yeah, equality rocks.
No, I mean, it is funny. I mean, can I go off on a tangent about equality right now, or do we have other?
Yeah, go off on a short tangent so we don't throw the timetable of the program off too far.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, okay, equality. If you've got two kids, one is diabetic and the other one is not, do you give them an equal amount of insulin?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, the term equality, again, back to you and I have done interviews with people, and Jade Frisch.
Yes.
She goes, don't you believe in equality?
And I told her that the concept of equality was a mental candy bar.
Yeah, an intellectual candy bar, and it's a word that's been saturated to the point it means nothing. It's just, when you say equality, it just puts some halo of legitimacy on there, because we've all been fighting for equality, and then when I ask people what equality is, they don't really know. Oftentimes they don't know what it is.
They don't. It's just good for the feels. It gives them the wonderful feels.
Yeah.
Equality. It sounds noble.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, if you want to fight for equality, if you want to push for equality under the law, yeah, I'm good with that. I'd like to have the same rights under the law as women, and I'd like to be given the same leeway that they are. Or conversely, I'd like them to be held to the same standards that I am. I'd like that kind of equality. But the kind of equality that means that we have to have 50% men and 50% women in positions of authority.
In every conceivable situation, yeah.
Yeah, that's not the kind of equality that I want.
I think we should have a campaign along the lines of ban bossy, only it should be ban equality. Okay? Now there is a gold nugget for the quote miners right there. Fidelbogen says ban equality.
That's right. Nick Reading says equality is for suckers.
Equality, no, well, really, I think every time people use the word equality, if it's outside of a strictly mathematical context, every time they ought to be made to explain themselves, to say, well, equality, what kind of equality? Equality of what? Yeah. People should not be permitted to just use that word in an absolutely abstracted and free-floating way, which is what they do all the time. That use of the word equality needs to be banned. So yeah, let's ban equality. Okay, coal miners, there you go. Take it and run with it.
I don't know about banning it. Maybe it needs to be challenged rather than banned.
Every time somebody says equality, you got to jump on them and say, equality. What kind of equality? Equality of what? Equality in what way? Give us an actual concrete proposal or project in which you wish to achieve this nebulous, airy-fairy, fuzzy thing called equality. We could do a whole show about this, Nick. I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I say, the feminists, they delude themselves. The fact is that their trouble flows not from a discrete point source on the social map, but from the entire culture. Everybody is getting in on this non-feminist, anti-feminist bandwagon, little by little, as they hear about it and realize that there's something going on there and something that they can get involved with, that they're not alone anymore. More and more they're speaking up. And people like us, you and me, Nick, and others, are here to inform them and guide them along. All kinds of people in all kinds of places are fed up, clear to their back teeth, with feminism and all the misery which feminism has inflicted on the world. It is true that the organized portion of this rebellion consists of small vanguard groups. Hello, everybody. But the revolution as a whole is spread clear across the cultural map. In other words, the non-feminist revolution is ambient. It does not compose an identifiable human target group. It has no clear demographic profile and no membership roster. No, it operates as a cloud of forces, manifesting through human actions. Actions which can sometimes be politically linked to each other, but other times not. It is atmospheric. It is organic. It surrounds you. It is everywhere. This non-feminist revolution, it is everywhere. And feminist, there is nothing you can do about it. Your ship is sinking fast, and if I were you, I would break out the lifeboats and start killing each other for a seat.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they will do. They will start turning on each other. They have no loyalty except loyalty to the party, no desire except the desire to conform, and no love except for the love of Big Brother. When, in fact, this kind of reminds me. Remember when we were kicking around the idea of inviting or offering feminists clemency if they roll over on their compatriots.
That's an idea that I could still entertain.
Yeah, I mean, because we're like the last episode we were talking about the importance of recording every time somebody publicly advocates for feminism, because these people, they're only doing it because it's hip, and once it becomes, as it's becoming, really unhip to be a feminist, like really humiliating to have been a feminist at one point, like to the point where it's like explaining your involvement in the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
Then we're just going to keep on making fun of them. We're just going to keep on, if they stay in the public sphere, if they try to be activists or politicians or actors or anything, we just keep on throwing their hideous past at them.
Their past will come back to haunt them. Yes.
Yeah, and the only way that they can get us off of their backs is by serving up their friends and getting some good dirt on them that we can go after them with. So they're going to be feeding their friends to the wolves, and the wolves are going to be us.
Oh well, let's not be too wolfish there. Are we going to be wolves in sheep's clothing?
That's another thing. I do want activists out there who haven't shown their faces yet to start infiltrating things like the White Ribbon Campaign, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, all of these male feminist groups. I'd really like to see them get infiltrated by non-feminists or anti-feminists who have no connection to us, just with their own plan to infiltrate and disrupt these groups.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like the idea of decentralization there. We're not a centrally controlled group. We're not really a group at all. We're a social organism, and this whole thing is happening organically. Anyway, well, I see we have no callers. Nick, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I really can't. I just not on this topic. I'm sorry. I got back into the house just before the show started, so I had other stuff on the mind.
All right. Well, anyway, I think we can all be glad about this latest development, the Women Against Feminism, and I don't really care what the origin of their movement was, whether it was planned by somebody as an AstroTurf project, whether it was a grassroots thing from the get-go, whichever way that turns out. The thing is that the cat is out of the bag now. People are turning against feminism. The word is out. What has been pulled out of the bottle at this point cannot be stuffed back into the bottle.
Hey guys, we've got Sandwich wanting to come onto the show here. Hopefully he was able to transfer easily enough. Sandwich, are you on the line?
Sandwich.
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Hello, Sandwich.
Well, we can barely hear you, Sandwich.
Okay,
get close to the mic.
How's life in Halifax?
He's gone.
How's that?
You're kind of faint, but I think we can listen, maybe catch what you're saying.
Okay, let me see. Okay, that should be better.
That's good. That's very good.
All right. Yeah. I've been watching the stuff, and I'm thinking at some point they're probably gonna start pretending that it never happened, or basically all the bad stuff of feminism, that's not feminism, that's something else, and
yes,
not quite.
Well, I think they're doing that already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very clearly.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be more intense. Not so much the not all feminists are like that, but like that didn't happen. Those weren't moves. Like the National Organization for Women never said that equal parenting was what shouldn't be done. Like even though we have proof.
Well, I think that as we begin to bring up more and more of feminism's past, there's going to be more and more embarrassed people jumping ship from feminism, and of course they're going to want to disassociate themselves from anything to do with feminism. And
well, at the same time, I've dealt with these people before. When you catch them dead to rights, their minds just go crazy. They start doing what you're saying, sandwich heist. They start denying that these things ever happened, or they'll deny that they were ever a part of it, or they'll do both things. They'll say feminism is great, but I was never a feminist.
Or they'll fall back on the not all feminists are like that, and I'm one that's not like that.
Or they'll just cycle between all four of them and make up new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then yell a lot.
They'll change their position with every conversation, really.
Yeah. Once you catch these, they're narcissists. They're narcissists. They can't handle ever having been wrong about anything, because if they get proven wrong about something, that makes them feel stupid, which makes them feel insecure, which makes them say and do stupid things, which makes people catch on to them, which makes them feel more insecure, and it's just this tailspin that they get into.
Well, thank heavens for the feminist memory hole.
Yeah, what we're going to have to watch out for is whatever new brand name they're going to try to restart feminism under.
Yeah, they'll try to call it humanism or equalism or any of these other things. But if you stick this, I like to stick.
Nick, I hate to cut in, but we're getting close to the brick wall of death here.
Oh, I know. I just want to finish this thought off here. If you get them to admit that they think that women currently get or have historically gotten the short end of the stick, and they're approaching equality, as they call it, from that point of view, then they're still feminists in my book. That's all I have to say. Check out mensrightsedmonton.com. Check out our YouTube channel. Send us donations. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, and check out. Thank you, Sandwich. Thank you for calling in. Everybody, check out cfproject.blog.com. That is the Poison Manifesto. Go and read it if you haven't done so already. It'll say a lot more than I can say in a 1-hour episode. Anyway, the brick wall of death is about 6 inches in front of our nose now. So we got to say goodbye, wrap it up. So everybody, it's been great. This has been episode number 11 of the Vanguard Report. Next week it'll be, it'll be episode number 12. So I hope everybody will join us next week for episode number 12 of the Vanguard Report. And until then, ciao.
Peace.
Feminism is what we say it is. And we say that feminism is the problem. Putting the conversation where it needs to be. This is the Vanguard Report.
Peel away feminism's lies layer by layer, slowly and patiently, in order to reveal feminism's devices to your critical scrutiny. We point things out, and we tell you what to look for. We don't just feed you information and inform you for a day. We teach you how to inform yourself in order to inform you for a lifetime. We're not here to fix men's issues, but to make the world a more male-friendly place by exposing how the world got to be so anti-male in the first place. In other words, we are here to expose how men's issues even got to be issues in the first place. Anti-male bias, you see, operates on so many levels, so we need to confront this on many levels. We don't believe in begging crumbs from the feminist regime.
Kinds of fun exploits on our YouTube channel, which is Men's Rights Edmonton as well.
Okay, yes, that's mensrightsedmonton.com. Definitely go there, bookmark that website, go there, give them web traffic, give them click love. Nick, before we go any further, we were talking about something about the walk a mile in her shoes. Do we want to expand on that theme at this present time, or even drop a hint about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be releasing a video about it in the next couple of days, hopefully. But it's we plan on having a really interesting presence at the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes this year in Edmonton in Churchill Square on September 23rd. Can't really go into details about it, but it's going to be big. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be big, yes. So this is the first little whisper to get the whisper campaign going. It's going to be a big thing in Edmonton at the Walk a Mile in Her Shoes parade, and you heard it here.
As usual, we want them to know we're coming.
Feminism is what we say it is. And we say that feminism is the problem. Putting the conversation where it needs to be. This is the Vanguard Report.
Greetings and welcome to the Vanguard Report, the weekly radio program where we do nothing but talk about feminism and how to drive nails into feminism's coffin. This is episode number 11. Here at the Vanguard Report, we theme if we are not also working to mobilize hearts and minds against the feminist regime altogether, with the ultimate plan of knocking that regime over and stretching it out flat in the dust. Very well. I am your host, Fidelbogen, and with me as always is my fellow host, Nick Reading, a true son of the Alberta Prairie and a dastardly counter-feminist insurgent in the city of Edmonton. Nick, will you make your appearance on the balcony and speak to the assembled multitude in the public square?
Indeed I will. How's it going, everybody? I'm Nick Reading with mensrightsedmonton.com, and I'm happy to be here.
That's good. Nick, don't you want to tell them about your website like you generally do?
Yeah. You can check us out at mensrightsedmonton.com and see what we're all about, what we do. Basically, we're here to see feminism fall into the same disrepute as racism, and we want them to know that we want them to know.
We want them to know, and we want everybody to know that everybody knows that everybody knows. Does this Walk a Mile parade have along its route Churchill Square at any point?
It's entirely held in Churchill Square.
Oh, so that is, I would say that's the public square, is it not? Churchill Square?
That's the town square in Edmonton.
It is.
Yeah, and it was. If you saw us at that's where they marched to for last year's Slut Walk. Of course, they were already holding the Taste of Edmonton Food Festival there. I can't imagine the families and the vendors were happy to see a bunch of scantily clad young women with signs about how slutty they are marching into their event and screaming. But
yes, there might have been some conflicted feelings on that occasion. I can understand that.
The Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event, for those who don't know, is a feminist event where they get hundreds of men every year.
Men in high heels, yes?
Yep, to walk around in a circle. And
I didn't know they walked around in a circle.
Yeah, well, I guess